thank you for giving me this opportunity to share my thoughts and my experiences with all of you. And I'm really thankful for all the 12 questions that you have sent me. All of them are really interesting, and I'm super excited to talk about them. Okay, so a bit about me first, then, I guess. Uh, so I graduated from VIT in computer science in 2016. And funny story about that time was that I was in the middle of my tax internship for the most part of the second last semester. So I came back to college in September, right in the middle of the placement season, and I was taken aback and almost intimidated with all the chaos and the madness that was going around at that time, because I was literally completely unprepared. I had not brushed up on my concepts, and I did not know how to give interviews. In fact, in my first interview, I struggled to even like talk in full form sentences. I was just spitting out random words. And yeah, I mean, I don't think I even had a proper resume during that point of time. And I mean, everybody around me, on the contrary, had, if not one, two or three job offers already. So it was a really challenging time for me, and I think I learned a lot for sure, and but it was only made possible. I mean, the job offers that I got was because of the people. So I think the best part about VIT is that there are a lot of people over there, and a whole lot of them are super helpful. So that's how I was able to get into my first company, which is InspiHER. It was a really early age startup with less than 10 developers, and that's where I spent like 4 years, first 4 years of my career back to back, and I enjoyed every bit of it. I think the one thing that I valued the most over there was the amount of ownership I got, and that too so early in my career. And that was something that made me stick all this while, apart from meeting some amazing, really talented people. And that's when I felt that it was time to switch. And I mean, I had worked in two teams in InstaMojo. It was the product and the platform team, and that's when I felt like it was time for a different kind of experience. And I joined Google in February early this year, and absolutely loving the opportunity at Google. I joined the search ads team, and I think the best part about Google is the culture. It's the process. It's the fact that they treat human as human. And especially, I joined right in the middle of the COVID-19 pandemic, and the way the company handled and supported the employees during that time was really emotional for me and super important for me. And additionally, technically, the delight of being able to work at such a huge scale, something that I was not able to see in the startup, is absolutely amazing. So I think that's a whole lot about me. I've actually taken more amount of time than I should have. So let's jump right into the questions. Okay, so the first question is, what was the biggest lesson you have learned with regard to your work life? I think the biggest lesson that I have learned is to always keep your health as your first priority. And that actually means, like, that comes from the fact that you ensure complete work-life balance. And that means that when you have your weekends, you just do it. You don't work on your weekends, and you spend time with your family. And that is only achievable if you're meticulously efficient in your work week. So, two things that have been really helpful for me in prioritizing my work and ensuring productivity is number one, I started using calendars a lot, and I started blocking time in my calendar throughout the days for each specific task or any grungy work that I'm supposed to do. And the idea behind it is that it tells people to not set up meetings during that time, to not interrupt you with such some casual conversations or things like that. And over the time you would realize that it is really important, because context switches can be really expensive, and that's how you optimize your time. And the second thing that I read about, and you can read about it too, is called Pomodoro technique. And it just means that you work with a lot of focus for 25 minutes or so. I mean, you have a dedicated task that you need to perform, and then you take a break of like 5 to 15 minutes in the between, and then you repeat over. So those are the things that have been able to help me in uh, in maximizing what I can deliver during the work week, so that I can take my time off in the weekend, and also take care of my health, meet my family members, have a social life, have fun, basically, things like that. Okay, so the next question that I would like to talk about is, should students prioritize competitive coding over development skills for getting a good placement? The short answer to that is yes, according to me, and that is simply because majority of the companies during their interviews have DS and Alco rounds, and you need to be able to meet that bar to go through. And if that is your idea of a good placement, if getting into that company is your idea, if not, I mean, at the same time, if you are learning a new language, or there's this really interesting project that has come to you, or you're researching about something, please don't inhibit your creativity, and don't, I would say, uh, like, lock the doors just so early in your career, because there could be, like, you may just decide to study computer science further, you might want to do a master's, you might want to do a PhD. I mean, there are a lot of different options, but if your idea is to get into one of those companies, then it's important for you to first clear the interviews, right? So preparing for it, at least I would say 2 semesters in advance or 1 semester in advance, would be good. Okay, so let's try to answer the next set of questions real quick, because we're running out of time. So the first one is, how has your work experience of work from home been like? Do you prefer it to the conventional office experience? Yes, I do. I love it because it gives me flexibility. It gives me the opportunity to work like from my home, as in meet my family members, and I get to avoid the treacherous traffic, the Bangalore, infamous Bangalore traffic for 2 hours in a day, which is a great bargain. And yes, I'm a great proponent of work from home, because now that the entire world has experimented with it, in fact, and proved that it's possible, I hope to see work from home being more accessible to a lot more people. And I look forward to working from home for at least 2 to 3 days in a week, even after the pandemic. And but can it be a complete replacement of the conventional office experience? No. I still want to meet my colleagues and talk to them and have those informal and formal conversations, and that's something that is irreplaceable. Next, have you faced any challenges that you felt would not have come your way if you weren't a woman? Yes. I would like to see more women around me, especially more women leaders. B, I really hope that women in tech would not be stereotyped. I think a lot of women feel that they need to be this geek or a nerd, and that stereotype rather of that geek or nerd, so that they feel like they fit into the industry. And I mean, a lot of them, including me, have gone through this imposter syndrome. And so that is second. And the third thing would be, I don't know, it might not be applicable to a lot of people, but the way our society traditionally is has been framed, a lot of women a lot of women think more about how they will be able to ensure work-life balance. I mean, once they get married and once they have a family, they take the onus upon themselves to figure out if this career would even be possible for them. So I think those are the three challenges that I faced. Okay. Next one is, how do you ensure you are at maximum productivity regularly? How do you manage your tasks? The thing is that you need to know that you cannot be at maximum productivity all the time. I mean, that's just the unfortunate truth of how we are as human beings. We could have, like, there could be something personal going on, or you could be having a bad day for some other reason because of which you would have not been able to deliver as you would have wanted in a given day. It's just that you do not feel bad about it, and you just compensate it in the next day or the other. And I mean, that's one thing that I wanted to point out. And um, I already talked about blocking my calendars and the Pomodoro technique. And I think the next, adding to that, would be that just try to ensure that you're not blocked on something for too long. Communication is the key in any job, including this one. So if you feel like you're blocked on something for too long, or even if there is personal, like a professional issue or something that's bugging you, just talk to your peers, talk to your team leads, your managers, and sort it out. Last question that I wanted to talk about was, how would you advise a college second or third year student to prepare for a Google interview? So, considering that you're in second or third year, you already have your OOPS and DS classes, and this is a strategy that I followed, and I think it will work for anybody else too. Is I use two sites, InterviewBit and LeetCode. So InterviewBit is what I started out with because it has this smaller set of curated questions, and a good thing is to always start with questions with the lowest average time to solve, because they tend to be easier, and gradually move your way up. And in LeetCode, I really like the explore section. I mean, personally for me, it was the best tutorial that I've ever seen. So I would pick a topic, say binary search or stacks and queues, and go through the theory and solve the questions. And then I bought LeetCode Premium, and this is not a sponsored video. So why I bought it, because it allows you to filter your questions by a particular company. So I specifically practiced a lot of Google questions, starting with easy, medium, and moving over to a couple of hard ones. And try not to focus on just the number of questions that you are solving, but also to see that you are able to solve them on your own, and you sort of develop this approach on how to go about a problem. And a few important things for the Google interview is that, number one, your first phone screen round will be on a Google Doc. So practice writing code on that with the right kind of syntax and spacings. And number two, like for all your coding interviews, one thing that you will note, especially if you do the questions as well, is that you need to it's good to point out the edge cases early on. I mean, your interviewer would give you sort of a vague question, and you need to ask the right questions to quantify the problem. And these are the kind of things that the interviewer appreciates and give you extra points on. And yes, extremely important is to not get disheartened by one or two questions that you can't solve. It's better if you have a colleague or a friend along with you who's preparing with you so that you can discuss out the questions and approaches, and to stick to the fundamental topics and questions initially, and then go on to, say, a red black tree or something like that. And yeah, for any other questions on how to prepare or anything in general, please feel free to reach me out on LinkedIn, and I would be happy to connect with you all. Okay then, thanks. Bye bye.